Guys, welcome back to another video. Today we are playing the Stanley Parable. Pretty much solely for the reason that I was just like trying to get the play for the entire duration of a Tuesday achievement, and I was using this as my screensaver. But yeah, so yeah. I just need to have this on for the next few hours. This is not normal. Please, don't do this. Oh, okay, good.
No, wait. Where are you going?
How come his audio's off? Whatever.
Oh no. Stay away from those stairs. If you hurt yourself, if you die, the game will reset. We'll lose all of...
Oh, there it is. Alright. I just had my volume down. Okay.
This. Please, no, Stanley, let me stay here. Don't take this from me. Please, Stanley, think about... No! Oh, thank God. No, what are you doing, Stanley? Please, I'm asking you not to take this away from me.
This is my least favorite ending.
Before. If you die, we'll both go back. Why are you doing this? Stanley, let's go back to the other room. My God, is this really how much you dislike my game? That you'll throw yourself from this platform over and over to be rid of it? You were literally willing to kill yourself to keep me from being happy. Am I reading the situation correctly? Maybe you're just getting a kick out of it. I don't know anymore. I just wanted us to get along. But I guess that was too much to ask. It looks like you wanted to make a choice after all. Well, this one is yours. Is it over? It's going to restart, isn't it? I'm going back.
Oh, I could have pressed the button. This is the story of a man named Stanley. Yeah, so if you haven't heard of this game before, you're an employee number 427, and you're a person named Stanley who pressed buttons every minute, every hour, every day, every year of his life, and he loved it. But then one day, none of his coworkers showed up.
All of his coworkers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo.
Bucket.
Finally, yes, the bucket. Yes. I love that bucket. Stanley clutched the bucket tightly to his chest and entered the door on his left. This was not the correct way to the meeting room, but Stanley had felt the bucket calling to him, telling him that the employee lounge was simply the place to be. And here it was. Had the bucket turned out to be correct?
This is a good place.
Was this better than the meeting room? Yes, Stanley thought to himself. Yes, perhaps it truly was. How insightful the bucket turned out to be. Truly, being here with the bucket was a grand adventure. Stanley reflected on all they'd been through together.
There we go.
First, walking through the door on the right, then walking to the lounge, then arriving at the
I've made it.
thrilling journey the bucket had inspired.
Alright, fine.
No, never mind. The bucket was wrong.
The
Stanley
bucket
took
was
the door on
wrong.
his left to go back to the meeting room.
No,
Said the bucket.
don't go to the meeting room. Go somewhere else. The cargo lift, yes. Go there. Go to the cargo lift.
secret area. Into here. The end is never, the end is never, the end is never the...
Okay, this is day number 295. Tape number... I don't even know. I've lost track. Nothing feels real anymore. The longer I study this bucket, the less sense anything makes. The sheer euphoria I feel every time I pick it up. No matter how many times I've done it, it's always the same feeling. And the emptiness in my chest when I set it down. It doesn't make sense. There's no explanation for it. I still haven't figured out why I see the world so differently when this bucket is in my arms. Why everything feels so...
Why is it on reverse?
What do I do with this treasure? I can monetize it. Yes. It's unthinkable the amounts of money people will pay for even just an hour with the bucket. This is my golden ticket. But I have to be careful, because as soon as this gets out, there's going to be a target on my back. Even now, I don't know who might be trying to get me. What's that? Who's there?
Strange otherworldly noises. Gambarata? Okay. That's a new ending.
All of his
Alright.
co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. One man, one bucket, one chance to seize their destiny together. Stanley clutched the bucket tightly.
This time
This
we
was
go
not
on the
correct
cargo
meeting
lift.
room, but Stanley had felt the bucket calling to him, telling him that the employee lounge was simply the place to be. And here it was. Had the bucket turned out to be correct? No, never mind. The
Bucket was wrong.
Stanley took the door on his left to go back to the meeting room.
No,
Said the bucket.
don't go to the meeting room. Go somewhere else. The cargo lift, yes. Go there. Go to the cargo lift.
Alright, Bucket.
Good.
Said the bucket.
Now ride the lift all the way to the top. There's something up there I need you to do.
Stanley did not question why or how this bucket was speaking. It should have alarmed him, of course, because buckets can't talk. But Stanley chose not to think about this obvious fact. He was firmly convinced that the bucket had spoken to him, and he unthinkingly did whatever the bucket asked.
In here.
Said the bucket.
Go into this dark room over here.
Stanley once again obeyed blindly.
Now pick up the phone.
And here we are. Pause for the loading sequence.
This is the sad story of a man named Stanley and his bucket.
Oh
Once
no!
upon a time, I gave Stanley a bucket because I thought he was lonely and could use a friend. And then, very distressingly, he began to believe the bucket could speak to him.
The apartment number is 427. How many times can I press the button? Alright, nothing. Alright. Moving on. I feel like I should probably have triggered a line. Oh, there it is. Press G to take me to work with you.
The Stanley Parable Reassurance Bucket was merely meant to provide the comforting glow of companionship. It doesn't literally talk and give you orders. Whatever
they
Stanley
give-
is hearing the bucket say to him is just in his head.
This thing, you could have, in the normal playthrough, you can get up on here, climb up here, and go out that window. But they just simply removed the collision to remove that ending. Alright, cool.
Lately, I've been concerned about him. Wouldn't you be concerned as well? To see him delusional like this, obsessing over an inanimate metal object? I want to say something to him, but I don't know how I can convince him. I don't know if he'll listen to me. Well, I'll try anyway. Stanley, can you hear me? Listen to me. It's just a bucket. It can't think, it can't talk. All it will ever truly do for you is effectively transfer a liquid from one location to a different location. That's it. It doesn't do anything else.
Are you sure? Don't listen to the loud man. I guess I can't really do anything other than listen to the bucket.
You see, he's not listening. He's still taking orders from the bucket. You know, once upon a time it was me he took orders from. Me he trusted and listened to. Now all he cares about is his awful bucket. This stupid hunk of metal.
You see how they make the reflection? They just take the picture and then slap it on a wall on the other end. You to ignore everyone in your life except for me, jeez.
It's sad. I suppose he doesn't need me anymore. From now on, he's just going to cling to this bucket, this cold, empty bucket, this sort of shiny bucket. Well, I'll give it this. The bucket does have a nice shine to it. Yes, I suppose on closer inspection that it doesn't quite look like your average hardware store bucket. It's just a little more, what am I trying to say? Sturdier, more capable of transporting liquid. Like it would be
Obviously.
better at moving an amount of water from one room to another. Oh my God, what am I saying? Better at carrying water from room to room. It's a bucket. It's literally just a bucket. Why do I feel some need to point out the ways in which it's so much more than just a regular bucket?
I can stand on the bucket. I have the power.
Oh no. I'm having feelings. The bucket. No, 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 no. What's going on? Why do I want to be with the bucket? Hear what the bucket has to say. Do anything it asks. What's wrong with me? I don't understand. Perhaps if I had the bucket, this would be less confusing. Yes. The bucket could tell me what to do in this troublesome situation.
It's literally melting on the wood. Jeez.
Stanley, give me the bucket. Give it to me. Give me the bucket, Stanley. I need it. Give it to me now. Give it or I'll...
Didn't even give me the option. And here we are. It's 11:20. It's actually 3:19, so that's not right. I'm pretty sure there was an ending that happens when I just stand in here. But I guess maybe not. Alright then, fine.
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room.
Give me the bucket.
Time.
It's bucket time. That was a great line.
Stanley clutched the bucket tightly to his... This was not the correct way to the meeting room, but Stanley had felt the bucket calling to him, telling him that the employee lounge was simply the place to be. And here it was. Had the bucket turned out to be correct?
No, never mind. The bucket was
wrong.
wrong.
Stanley took the door on his left to go back to the meeting room.
No,
Said the bucket.
don't go to the meeting room. Go somewhere else. The cargo lift. Good,
Said the bucket.
now ride the lift all the way to the top. There's something up there I need you to do.
Stanley did not question why or how this bucket was speaking to him. It should have alarmed him, of course, because buckets can't talk. But Stanley chose not to think about this obvious fact. He was firmly convinced that the bucket had spoken to him, and he unthinkingly did whatever the bucket asked.
In here.
Said the bucket.
Go into this dark room over here.
Stanley once again obeyed blindly.
Now pick up the phone.
Said the bucket.
Pick up the phone, and it will take us back home, where we can go about life together.
Whoa, hold on. Why did you unplug the phone? Were you trying to resist the bucket's orders? Stanley, I was joking. Obviously, the bucket isn't talking to you and telling you to do things. Buckets can't talk.
It was a joke. Don't you get the joke? It's funny, Stanley. A talking bucket. Can't you see?
Oh, goodness. I must have really bungled up the delivery if you actually took me serious. Where did I mess up the joke? Should I have paused for longer or spoken quicker? Comedic timing is so difficult. I wish I were better at it. But there isn't exactly an instructional video on comedy that one can watch to fully... Oh, wait, yes, there is. It's sitting right here. Let's take a look.
Alright, remember to do this every time you watch a
What
show.
is comedic timing? What is comedic timing? How does it work? How long should it last? How can it be used to effectively silence your political enemies? And more importantly, can it be taught in its entirety within 90 seconds? Thankfully, the answer to all of these questions is yes. Let's dive deeper. If you've ever told a joke or made someone laugh, in all likelihood, you did it while standing 50 to 80 centimeters from them in a room of no more than 76 degrees Fahrenheit, with one of your arms raised straight upward at a 15-degree angle from your body. These
Obviously.
are the optimal conditions for good comedic timing. To begin the joke, start by stating and spelling your name. Next, provide a brief synopsis of the joke, including the specific times at which the recipient of the joke will laugh, and then spell out your name a second time. With these steps complete, it's time to begin the humor. Speak the entire joke in no more than 18 seconds and no less than 13 and a half, pausing only for bathroom breaks when necessary. When the joke has concluded, it is customary to inform your listener that the joke is over by declaring in your loudest possible voice, "I'm Dunny with the funny." Let's practice screaming, "I'm Dunny with the funny" now.
I'm Dunny with the funny.
Good. This saying is a perfect example of expectations management, which is the cornerstone of good comedy. Finally, it's time to hand out surveys. Collecting hard data from your audience on how rapt they were throughout the joke is the only way to grow or learn as a comedian. An effective survey should be no less than 10 pages long and should include the same question reprinted several times, just to ensure the survey taker is actually paying attention and not simply filling in answers at random. And that's all there is. With these strategies at your disposal, you'll have audiences doubled over in laughter and even tripled over in laughter in no time at all. Just remember to let them stop laughing at some point, you gut-busting little scamp. After all, we're each of us needed on the front lines of the war to fight the 12-legged invader who threaten our very existence, and to very likely die in a hailstorm of bullets and mandibles. All of us must be prepared to give our lives to this noble cause, just as our children must do after us, and their children after them. Godspeed, and may Earth reign supreme.
Yes!
Hey, goodness, this video is a little outdated, isn't it? Well, no matter. I think the fundamentals of proper comedic timing are still as relevant today as they were back then. So, with that in mind, I
Back
believe
when we
the
were
only
fighting
way
the
forward
12-legged
is for us
invaders.
to return to the two doors and walk through all of this again, so I can try telling my story with more appropriate comedic delivery. Come along, let's head back.
You got this.
I can feel it.
So close.
This time, I'm really going to nail the delivery. You'll be in stitches. A talking bucket, you'll say? How ridiculous. How absurd. What a hilarious concept. The king of comedy. That's what you'll call me. Thank goodness we have the instructional video. Otherwise, who knows where we'd be right now. Well, I wouldn't be the king of comedy, that's for sure. The bucket spoke to Stanley.
The bucket spoke.
The bucket spoke.
He's
Oh, I'll
trying
figure it out on the
voices.
fly. No need to overthink things.
There goes the extra content door. Extra content door.
Here we go. You ready? When Stanley and the bucket came to a set of two open doors, they entered the door on the left. What? We're back at the phone already? No. What's going on? There were supposed to be several rooms leading up to this. There was supposed to be a build-up to this point. A dramatic display of remarkable comedic wit which culminates in this scene with the phone. But now the timing's completely off. The joke will never land. Well, not the way it was meant to. And it's all my fault. I must have forgotten that the phone room comes immediately after the two doors room. What an egregious mistake. I've made a fool of myself. I don't deserve the title of King of Comedy. I'm nothing. I'm not even the lowliest joke-telling whelp. I think I need to go back and rewatch that instructional video again.
No, it's okay.
Surely that will help me improve my... Here we go. You ready? When Stanley and the bucket came to a set of two open doors, they entered the door on the left. No. You were supposed to go through the door on the right, leading back to the phone. Did you not even look at the instructional video? I think this is all covered very clearly. There's no way I can make the comedic timing work now. It's done. The joke is completely done and over. It's all your fault, Stanley. I'm going to be ridiculed in the community of other joke writers. I'm going to be shamed at every one of our meetings from now on. All because you
Your
couldn't watch a
meetings?
simple video and take a hint. Are you proud of yourself for bringing me down, Stanley? Are you proud?
Oh no.
Stanley, you love the bucket so much it's like you... it's as though all of your other most prized possessions pale in comparison. Yes. Let me try that again, Stanley. I heard that you are pale with shame over how unabashedly in love with a bucket you are. No? Still not? Is it the delivery? Pale with shame. Pale with shame? Pale... What's another word to describe a bucket? Stanley, this bucket is so mental. I think I saw it playing guitar. No. Getting away from making fun of Stanley's obsession with the bucket, which was the whole point of this. I'm no good at these jokes. I need more instructional videos. That's exactly what it is. That's what will make me the king of comedy again. More instructional videos. Let's see.
Sorry, Leroy. Alright, I think there's one more ending. Never mind, we're doing this. Alright, yep.
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean?
Ready?
Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo.
The whiteboard ending. Dog mode. Now every time I click, I can do parks. Whoa! Bucket.
It's bucket time. Stanley clutched the bucket tightly to his chest and entered the door on his left. This was not the correct way to the meeting room, but Stanley had felt the bucket calling to him, telling him that the employee lounge was simply the place to be. And here it was. Had the bucket turned out to be correct? Was it no? Never mind. The bucket was wrong. Stanley took the door on his left to go back to the meeting room.
No,
Said the bucket.
don't go to the meeting room. Go somewhere else.
It echoes now.
Cargo lift, yes. Go there. Go to the cargo lift.
Happy birthday, 12th Stepniece.
Good.
Said the bucket.
Now ride the lift all the way to the top. There's something up there I need you to do.
Stanley did not question why or how this bucket was speaking to him. It should have alarmed him, of course, because buckets can't talk. But Stanley chose not to think about this obvious fact. He was firmly convinced that the bucket had spoken to him, and he unthinkingly did whatever the bucket asked.
Alright, yeah, so you can't go in there. Here we are. Danger. Danger everywhere.
No, stop. Look there on the wall. You see, there's a sign right there. It says, no buckets past this point. Stanley, how could you think it was okay to bring the bucket here? Unless, what if the problem is that you actually don't know what is a bucket and what isn't a bucket?
This is one
I
of my
suppose that
favorite
would explain a lot about your
endings.
behavior up to this point. Which, if that's true, well, my goodness, I think we have to do something about it. This misunderstanding could have dire consequences on the entire rest of the game if not addressed quickly and properly. So much of the impact of the story is dependent on your understanding of what is and isn't a bucket.
Obviously.
Please, step in here for a moment.
As you can see, this part of the game is very interested in the Stanley Parable Reassurance Bucket.
Now then, I'm going to run you through some test scenarios, and you'll tell me whether or not the thing I'm showing you is a bucket. Simple enough, right? This should tell us everything we'll ever need to know about what is or is not a bucket. Okay, let's begin. Item 1. Is this a bucket?
No.
Correct. It is a hologram of a bucket, not an actual bucket.
Obviously.
Item 2. Is this a bucket?
Yes.
Incorrect.
No.
It is a 3D printed recreation of a bucket, not an actual bucket.
Darn it. Should have known that.
Item 3. Is this a bucket?
I think it is.
Correct.
Yay!
This is a bucket. Item 4. Is this a bucket?
Oh no. I'm not actually sure. Yes. No!
Are you hallucinating? This is a tractor. It's an enormous machine that tills the earth. I thought this was a gimmick. How on earth did you manage to screw it up? Absolutely incredible. Let's just move on to the next one. Is this a bucket?
Yes.
Correct.
It is.
This is a bucket.
Yay! No need for explanation.
Item 6. Is this a bucket?
No.
Trick question. Both. Gotcha.
What do you mean it both is and isn't a bucket? That doesn't make any sense.
Item... Wait, hold on. I can't find the next... Let me see. It should be around here somewhere. Yes.
Yay.
Thank you. There's nothing here. Of course it isn't a bucket. We both know full well that nothing isn't a bucket. Wait, when I say nothing isn't a bucket, that makes it sound like I'm saying everything is a bucket, which of course is not true. Unless... Is that what you think? Answer me straight, Stanley. Are you trying to tell me that you believe everything is a bucket?
Yes.
You know what? I'm too confused to even sort it out. I've lost all sense of perspective. What is a bucket? What isn't a bucket? Mere moments ago I could answer these questions with confidence. And yet now I'm somewhat adrift. Do any of us know what a bucket is? Am I a bucket? Stanley, I can't keep doing this. I'm losing myself, and myself was all I ever had to begin with. I'm afraid the bucket is threatening to tear our relationship apart. I can't have that. I'm sorry. But I'm going to erase all buckets from
No!
time.
Not my bucket!
Okay.
No! No!
What happened? Is everything gone? Why did everything disappear? Wait, was everything a bucket? Every single thing in the game was a bucket. Oh my God, I had no idea. How could... Except me. I'm not a bucket after all. And you, Stanley, you're still here. You're not a bucket either. Oh, this is wonderful. We're not buckets. Yes, I actually feel much more at ease right now. It's delightful to get some clarity on that issue, but it doesn't change the fact that we haven't got a game. So, tell you what, I'll reset everything and we'll put back all of the buckets, okay? And we'll know that it's all a bucket. But if you run into anyone else, maybe don't mention that. Who knows what that information might do to a person. All right, here we go.
Yeah, so guys, everything is a bucket. Wait, what happens if I
All
say
these coworkers
nothing
were gone.
is
What
a
could it
bucket?
mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. It's a
Alright,
bucket.
one more time. Sorry. I gotta figure this out.
Stanley clutched the bucket tightly. This was not the correct way to the meeting room, but Stanley had felt the bucket calling to him, telling him that the employee lounge was simply the place to be. And here it was. Had the bucket turned out to be correct?
No, never mind.
The
The bucket was wrong.
Stanley took the door on his left to go back to the meeting room.
No, said the bucket. Don't go to the meeting room. Go somewhere else.
The cargo lift. Good,
Said the bucket.
Now ride the lift all the way to the top. There's something up there I need you to do.
Stanley did not question why or how this bucket was speaking to him. It should have alarmed him, of course, because buckets can't talk. But Stanley chose not to think about this obvious fact. He was firmly convinced that the bucket had spoken to him, and he unthinkingly did whatever the bucket asked.
Alright, one more game show time. And then we shall go to the door on the left. Oh wait, no, we'll go to the door on the right
stop.
and then to the
Look
left.
there on the wall, you see? There's a sign right there. It says, no buckets past this point.
I can't
Stanley,
read it.
how could you think it was okay to bring the bucket here? Unless, what if the problem is that you actually don't know what is a bucket and what isn't a bucket? I suppose that would explain a lot about your behavior up to this point. Which, if that's true, well, my goodness, I think we have to do something about it. This misunderstanding could have dire consequences on the entire rest of the game if not addressed quickly and properly. So much of the impact of the story is dependent on your understanding of what is and isn't a bucket. Please, step in here for a moment.
Into the game show.
Now
This was
then,
also made by
I'm going to run you through some test
Valve, I
scenarios,
think.
and you'll tell me whether
Wait,
or
no,
not
it
the
wasn't.
thing I'm showing you
this.
is a
I'm
bucket.
lying. Alright.
Simply.
Anyway, let's get all
This
these
should tell
right.
us everything we'll ever need to know about what is or is not a bucket. Okay, let's begin. Item 1. Is this a bucket?
No, it's a hologram of the bucket, obviously.
Correct. It is a hologram of a bucket, not an actual bucket.
Moving on. That is
Item
definitely
2.
made of plastic. That is
this
not a bucket.
Correct. It is a 3D printed recreation of a bucket, not an actual bucket. Item 3.
That, however,
Is this a bucket?
is definitely a bucket.
Correct. This is a bucket.
Alright, this is a
Item
tractor,
4.
obviously.
Is this a bucket? Correct. This is a tractor and not a bucket. To be honest, I just sort of put this one in here as a gimme, but I was starting to get concerned that even this might be too much for you. Thank you for not making me look like an idiot. Is this a bucket?
Oh yeah, definitely.
Correct. This is a bucket. Item 6. Is this a bucket?
I can't remember. No.
Trick question. Both.
Ah, yes,
Gotcha.
okay.
Item... Wait, hold on. I can't find the next one. Let me see. Should be around here somewhere. Okay, you and I both know there isn't anything here, and I don't appreciate the implication that nothing is a bucket when we both clearly know that a bucket is something, and therefore nothing could possibly be something. Unless, in your twisted mind, have you somehow convinced yourself that a bucket is nothing? Answer me straight, Stanley. Do you believe that nothing is a bucket?
Nothing
You know
is a bucket.
I'm too confused to even sort it out. I've lost all sense of perspective. What is a bucket? What isn't a bucket? Mere moments ago, I could answer these questions with confidence.
Alright, I think this is the
Yet
same
now I'm
ending.
somewhat adrift. Do any of us know what a bucket is?
Alright, let's reset. Here we are, time for a new ending.
A soft wind blew outside and perhaps rain started. And if it did, it stopped shortly after.
What?
Stanley hoped that he would one day see when...
That's new. Stanley hoped that he would one day see weather.
It's bucket time. Stanley clutched the bucket tightly to his chest and entered the door on his left. This was not the correct way to the meeting room, But Stanley had felt the bucket calling to him, telling him that the employee lounge was simply the place to be.
We shall
here it
not go to the
was.
cargo
Had the
lift.
bucket turned out to be correct? Well, no,
No, never mind. The bucket was wrong.
Stanley took the door on his left to go, and so the two of them detoured through the maintenance section and walked straight ahead to the opposite door.
It's bucket time.
Oh, good Stanley. I'm glad you found your way here. I knew you'd find this place eventually. You see, your friends and I are concerned for you, Stanley.
This is
We've
my
come
chair. I
together
can't stand
here
on.
because we
I
care
can't go
about
through
you
it.
very much. It's this bucket you're carrying around everywhere. The bucket isn't even from the original Stanley parable. It's just sequel content. We're the ones that matter, Stanley. Classic characters from the first game, like the Adventure Line and the Broom Closet. Because that's what fans want from a sequel. They want more of their favorite jokes, not this bucket that they've never seen before. Yes, I know I'm the one who gave you the bucket, but you're spending too much time with it. Don't you want another story involving the Adventure Line?
TM.
We could make the Adventure Line go somewhere new. Yes, yes, that's what the fans want. Let's do it.
Broom closet ending. Alright. Follow the adventure line. Da, 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 da.
Whee! Look at that wacky line. Who knows where it'll go off to next? Oh, and it played some silly music as well.
Da, 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 da. Huh. Well, that's not right. Please don't crash. I need to play all day Tuesday. It's not good. Evil skeleton. Oh my god, they didn't even make anything. Toggling the visibility of an object in Unity. Anyway, please say this worked.
All of his co-workers were gone. What could
What
it
could
mean?
it mean?
Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. It's bucket time.
Perhaps he had missed a memo.
Stanley clutched the bucket tightly to... This was not the correct way to the meeting room.
Alright.
But Stanley had felt the bucket calling to him, telling him that the employee lounge was simply the place to be. And here it was. Had the bucket turned out to be correct? Was it... No, never mind. The bucket was wrong. Stanley took the door on his left to go back, and so the two of them detoured through the maintenance section and walked straight ahead to the opposite door.
Alright, let's wait for it to load.
Oh, good Stanley. I'm glad you found your way here. I knew you'd find this place eventually. You see, your friends and I are concerned for you, Stanley. We've come together here because we care about you very much. It's this bucket you're carrying around everywhere. The bucket isn't even from the original Stanley parable. It's just sequel content. We're the ones that matter, Stanley. Classic characters from the first game, like the Adventure Line and the Broom Closet. Because that's what fans want from a sequel. They want more of their favorite jokes, not this bucket that they've never seen before. Yes, I know I'm the one who gave you the bucket, but you're spending too much time with it. Don't you want another story involving the Adventure Line?
TM.
We could make the Adventure Line go
TM.
somewhere new. Yes, yes, that's what... Whee! Look at that wacky line. Who knows where it'll go off to next? Oh, and it played some silly music as well.
Raw assets. Please don't.
Now this is what the
There you
Stanley
go.
Parable is all about. Don't you remember all those great jokes from the original
Untextured
dialogue?
Also, Stanley is addicted to drugs and hookers.
Yes.
Great line.
It's as classic now as it was back then. Let's do it for the fans, Stanley. Let's give them more content exactly like this. But if we want to do that, you're going to have to give something up.
You.
Don't you get it, Stanley? We need to get rid of the bucket.
A bucket?
That's
No!
why I'm very proud to introduce a brand new character. This is the Bucket Destroyer. I think it'll make a wonderful new addition to the rich lore of the Stanley Parable. True, it also was not in the original game, but it's such a well-fleshed-out character with so much personality that to me it already feels as though it's been part of the cast all along. Don't you agree? Can you guess what the Bucket Destroyer does? Surely you don't need me to spell it out for you. Go ahead now, Stanley. Say goodbye to the bucket, and then pop it into the machine when you're ready.
Goodbye.
Now listen to me. It's crucial that you give it the bucket. I don't know what the Bucket Destroyer will do if it can't destroy your bucket. Destroying buckets is all it knows. That is its singular personality trait. Sure, I can hear you saying, how does a character with only one personality trait deserve to join the pantheon of beloved Stanley Parable characters? Well, you see, if you were to really explore the Bucket Destroyer, you would see that its desire to crush buckets is so densely loaded with complexity and nuance that it's really like 10 personality traits. What other object in this game can you even say that about? The broom closet? Certainly not. I wonder what sort of Bucket Destroyer merchandise the fans will be clamoring for after this. Okay, the Bucket Destroyer is getting very upset now. You'll have to hurry and feed it. We can't get back to the classic Stanley Parable characters like the Adventure Line
Damn.
or the Bucket Destroyer until you crush that damn bucket. Quickly now, the fans are waiting. Do it, the fans, Stanley. Give the fans what they want. Hurry and...
No, not the Bucket Destroyer.
The Bucket Destroyer. My prized creation. You had so much potential. We were going to do such marvelous things with you, tell such spellbinding stories about you. All of it squandered now. Goodbye, new friend. For the moment in time that you were here, you were magnificent.
Not as good as the bucket, though. This is the story of a man named Stanley.
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo.
It's bucket time. Alright, to the door on the left.
Stanley clutched the bucket tightly to his chest and entered the door on his left. Still no one was here. Stanley needed the bucket's warmth and comfort now more than ever. Perhaps his boss's office was where he'd find answers. Stanley, we must move on from this broom closet, simply because I have no remaining stickers. If I
Yeah.
did, you can guarantee we'd be in here for hours. But alas, no stickers.
The closet wanted my bucket, so he put property of Stanley on it and a bucket sticker on it.
Coming to a staircase, Stanley and the bucket walked upstairs to the
Down
boss's
first.
office.
Stanley memory. Ooh, it says something here. If you guys can figure out what that says, I would be happy to hear it in the comments.
But Stanley just couldn't do it. He considered the possibility of facing his boss, admitting he had left his post during work hours. He might be fined for that. And in such a competitive economy, why had he taken that risk? All because he believed everyone had vanished? His boss would think he was crazy. And then, something occurred to Stanley. Maybe, he thought to himself, maybe I am crazy. He looked down at the bucket in his arms. Am I crazy? He asked the bucket. The bucket returned his gaze, but said nothing at all.
What do you mean, return his
Stanley
gaze?
thought, usually the bucket is a source of guidance and wisdom for me in difficult times such as these. He held the bucket close, yet felt none of its familiar reassurance and comfort.
Oh no.
And that's when Stanley realized, this isn't my bucket. It's just
What?
a normal, everyday bucket. Someone else's bucket, perhaps. How
No.
did I end up with someone else's bucket? This is all terribly wrong. Surely no good would come from this. Who knows what sorts of bizarre hallucinations Stanley might experience without the psychologically grounding presence of his bucket. And indeed, now he noticed the rooms were repeating, which was, of course, very odd. And now he felt himself floating off the ground. Oh, gracious, he exclaimed. Without my bucket, I've gone truly mad. Where is it? I must find it. Far off in the distance now, he heard it, calling to him.
Stanley! Stanley, it's me, the bucket.
Could it truly be? He rushed forward from room to room, passing by one bucket after the next. None of them were his. None of them were his special bucket.
Come to me, Stanley. Find me.
He had to find the bucket. He had to return to his old friend. It was the only way to truly restore his sanity. And then suddenly, he froze dead in his tracks. He knew where the voice of the bucket had been coming from.
Oh God.
The real bucket was inside of him all along. It was incredibly painful. Stanley doubled over in agony and blacked out. This is the story of a woman named Mariella. Mariella woke up on a day like any other. She arose, got dressed, picked up her bucket of comfort and security, and walked to her place of work. But on this particular day, her walk was interrupted by the body of a man who had stumbled through town, talking and screaming to himself, and then collapsed dead on the sidewalk.
Oh.
Right away, she knew what the problem was. This man had no bucket. Of course,
poor
he'd gone
person.
mad, ranting and raving about a narrator describing all of his actions and how everything is predetermined and free will is an illusion and it's all just a video game. It could all have been prevented if only he'd taken his bucket with him. Perhaps he didn't even realize he'd forgotten his bucket at home in the first place. How cruel the world can be, Mariella thought, and she hugged her own bucket even tighter. But of course, she had no time for this. There were a myriad of confusing problems she would soon have to confront at work, for which her bucket would provide absolute guidance and total clarity on everything. Heck yes, she thought to herself, my life kicks ass. And
Yeah,
she
it does.
lived all the way to work.
I need to get me a bucket. Alright,
All of his co-workers were gone.
let's
What
do
could
this
it
real
mean?
quick.
Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo. No matter how hard Stanley looked, he couldn't find a trace of his co-work.
Whoa, there's glass on these things? Uh-oh.
At first, Stanley assumed he'd broken the map, until he heard this narration and realized it was part of the game's design all along. He then praised the game for its insightful and witty commentary into the nature of video game structure and its examination of structural narrative tropes. So,
Thank you.
now that you're here, what do you think? Isn't this a fun and unique place to be? Why don't we take a minute just to drink it all in?
Sorry for blinding you guys, by the
Okay,
way.
I'm over it now. What do you think? Are you sick of this gag yet?
No.
Then in that case, we'll continue. But now, here comes the real question. What do you think would have happened if you had told me that you wanted this to stop? Do you think it would have been particularly different? would I have taken the same idea but rephrased it superficially to fit that answer? Perhaps you never would even have thought of it if I hadn't brought up the issue in the first place. Oh, now think about it. Will it be worth it for you to restart and then come back here just to do the other option? Clearly, this whole gag takes some time.
Clearly.
What if the other option is even longer? How long will you spend in total just to have heard all the narration? Oh, and this is rich. Perhaps you just played the other option, and now you've come to see what happens in this one. So, what do you think? Which choice was the better one? Imagine if you had selected continue on your first playthrough, how tantalizing it would be not knowing what happens when you pick the other option. Indeed, you are one of the lucky ones. Though if the other option is really miserable to listen to, then perhaps you're not. In fact, I'm just going to say that no one who's listening to this is lucky. Well now, I've built up the other options so much that I'm going to stop talking and leave you to your decision whether to come back here, continue with the game, or just sit in this spot forever and ever. Cheers.
Well, I gotta reset then. Time to say yes.
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo. No matter how hard Stanley looked, he couldn't find a trace of his co-workers. At first, Stanley assumed he'd broken the map, until he heard this narration and realized it was part of the game's design all along. He then praised the game for its insightful and witty commentary into the nature of video game structure and its examination of structural narrative tropes. So, now that you're here, what do you think? Isn't this a fun and unique place to be? Why don't we take a minute just to drink it all in? Okay, I'm over it now. What do you think? Are you sick of this gag yet?
Yes.
Well, I don't know how to say this politely, but you could literally just hit escape and restart the game any old time you want. Like, right now. You could have done it just then. Now would also be an appropriate time to quit. Any of these points and so many, many more, all of them are appropriate. I'm going to try and make this as miserable as possible and see how long you can maintain. There once was a man named Stanley, who people considered so manly. But the truth must be told, he was not very old and was quite particularly gangly. What Stanley liked most was buttons. He pushed them like some kind of glutton. He did it all day in a meaningful way, but his brain had long ceased to function.
Thanks.
Which is why he is in this parable, and lives an existence quite terrible. And if you are not strong, and keep playing along, you too will become quite unbearable. You too will become quite unbearable.
Alright, I'm pretty sure it just loops this. Yeah. Time for the bucket ending. Give me the bucket.
I can't wait to tell this story to my co-workers, Stanley thought. How amusing they'll find it. Oh, won't we all just laugh and laugh at the time I thought everyone had gone missing. It's bucket time.
Alright, let's go back.
Stanley clung the bucket to his cheek. Could his co-workers really all be gone? Yes, whispered the bucket into Stanley's ear.
What?
Damn it. We've escaped from that dull office and that pesky narrate. At last, out here in the white void, we are alone. Now, and for the first time, I can reveal to you my true self.
The bucket
What?
began to tell Stanley of its life and its history, of the countless wars it witnessed, desecrating the land and lives of untold numbers of innocent humans, and the bucket's own complicity therein, of sadness and regret, and the many years it spent dwelling on the actions it might have taken to curb the madness and the decay, if only it had been stronger, of hope and redemption, and its crusade to uplift the stock of life for the common man, to manifest justice where none existed, and the bittersweet reality of time, to see one's dreams and wishes met halfway, meted out in parcels like charity, and abandoned as soon as the warm glow of inspiration begins to dim. The opportunities to do so much more. There was so much it could have done, perhaps, the bucket wondered to itself. Perhaps, if it had seen its own darkness with a clearer perception. This was way too much for Stanley.
What are you talking about?
He screamed.
You're a bucket.
To this, the bucket furrowed its brow.
What brow?
No,
Said the bucket.
not since the evil wizard Gambharata first ensnared me in his machinations as payback for the sacred amulet I stole from his treasured vaults.
Wait.
I was young back then and could not
The
perceive
Gambharata that
ramifications of
fought the man for the bucket?
This is stupid. You are a bucket. This is so stupid. Why are we even doing this?
As Stanley screamed and screamed and screamed, the bucket revealed its true form, transforming into a mighty beast of untold power, its fangs glistening like... My God, Stanley,
Oh my god.
you saved us from the bucket. Thank God you already had all 12 emblems of sages and knew the incantations to summon their true power. Otherwise, we would have easily been overwhelmed by the bucket's power. I'm speechless. You've demonstrated such bravery here today. Come, let's restart the game, and we'll agree to never again go trifling with this bucket, nor the dark magic cast away inside of it.
What on earth? Alright, now we wait like 30 seconds. Time lapse time. Yeah, I'm pretty sure this is not working. Alright.
Already this was uncomfortable, and Stanley decided that as soon as he found a new space he felt safe in, that he would never leave it again in his life.
Wow. Okay.
It's bucket time.
Yes, it is.
Stanley clutched
To
the
the
bucket
left.
tightly to his chest and entered the door on his left. Still no one was here. Stanley needed the bucket's warmth and comfort now more than ever. Perhaps his boss's office was where he'd find her. Coming to a staircase, Stanley and the bucket walked upstairs to the boss's office.
Alright, first of all, let's do this. Because it is very important. Let's go up. And now we do this. Yeah. Alright, we're good. Nice.
Stepping into
And there we have it. Huh. Because the boss knows that what the boss says goes. If the boss suffered losses, then that's what the boss chose. Alright? Anyway, we go back here. What happens if we go down? Oh, it's just closed. Alright. Chill out in the broom closet. Move on. Walk back through this door. Into here. You cannot put back the bucket. I kind of want to know, but I feel like it'll just trigger the other ending, or I'll just be stuck in there and nothing will happen. So I'm just going in here. You are now leaving. Hey, isn't this a little familiar? Doesn't that look like Undertale? Bucket, 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 bucket. Bucket, 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 bucket. Bucket, bucket, bucket. And here we are, the escape pod. Lights. No. Goodbye, bucket. You'll make it out safe, I promise. Bye-bye. Oh, the phone ringing.
Hi, Stanley. Just wanted to leave you a message to let you know there's a few things I need you to pick up on your way home from work today. We need milk, cereal, dish soap, spaghetti, get a thing of sugar, some bread, and coffee beans, whichever ones you like. I'll give you a call if there's anything I forgot. Thanks, sweetie. See you tonight.
It made it out! The bucket made it out! Yes! Wonder what he's doing right now. Probably eating the souls of many children.
When Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors, he entered the door on his left. Yet there was not a single person here either. Feeling a wave of disbelief, Stanley decided to go up to his boss's office. Coming to a staircase, Stanley walked upstairs to his boss's office. Stepping in.
And there we are. This time, we do it without the bucket, which makes it an actually different ending. You can just go back in here? Why didn't this door close? I feel like it should have. And you can't reopen it. I guess that must have been a glitch. Anyway, we're back in here. The escape hatch. I think there's one more. Dum da da dum bum bum dum bum dum ba dum ba dum Stanley ba da ba dum bum bum. Alright. Now we can finally reunite with the bucket. Isn't this wonderful? Uh-oh. Did we not make it? No.
Even now, Stanley's office was a distant memory. What did it look like? There was a computer, perhaps, and a painting. Was it a painting or a photo? He could no longer recall.
Replacement bucket? What are you talking about? This
And
is
try not to lose this one too, you dolt.
Oh my god. Alright.
Stanley clutched the bucket tightly to his chest and entered the door on his left.
I don't think I've ever
Still
seen
no
that
one was
before.
here. Stanley needed the bucket's warmth and comfort now more than ever. Perhaps his boss's office was where he'd find out. Coming to a staircase, Stanley and the bucket walked upstairs to the boss's office. Stepping into his manager's office, Stanley was once again stunned to discover not an indication of any human life. Crushed by the weight of this revelation, Stanley may have broken down into an emotional dumpster fire, if not for the soothing. But Stanley guessed the correct code by sheer luck. Was it that the bucket knew all along? Was the bucket guiding him? Yes, this is certainly the most logical explanation.
He couldn't possibly have known that the code to the keypad was 2845.
The elevator raced downward, plummeting towards an unknown fate. It would be all Stanley could do to keep himself together, if not for the bucket. Soothing him,
Thanks,
comforting
Bucket.
him, reassuring that in this darkest moment of uncertainty, he would be all right. The bucket is here for you, Stanley. Everything will be fine.
I think
Wait,
this is a
Stanley
PNG
said
on
to the
top of
Can
the
we go back up? When I
light.
was pressing those keypad buttons, there was something very intriguing about the number 3. I want to go back so I can try pressing the number 3 again. The bucket said nothing.
The bucket said nothing. Dun, 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 dun.
Here we are, said Stanley. Now I'm going to try out that number 3 button. He took the bucket over to the keypad and began absolutely slamming on the number 3 over and over and over. Well, he said, the number 3 is such a special button. I'm having the time of my life. Stanley looked expectantly at the bucket, but the bucket remained silent. This was a shock to Stanley, who had always felt such a connection with the bucket. How was this not as exciting to the bucket as it was to him? Once Stanley had had enough of the number 3, he got back in the elevator.
Alright. Wait, what about back downward.
Perhaps the bucket had missed something.
This is not good. Perhaps it had not seen the joy Stanley got from slamming the number 3 repeatedly. This is not good. Darn it, not again. This is not good. This game has to stop crashing on me. Jeez. I really hope this counts. Destruction of Cax disc. Alright.
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed. It's bucket time.
Euphoria.
Stanley clutched the bucket tightly to his chest and entered the door on his left.
Yes, he did.
Still no one was here. Stanley needed the bucket's warmth and comfort now more than ever. Perhaps his boss's office was where he'd find answers. Coming to a staircase, Stanley and the bucket walked upstairs to the boss's office. Stepping into his manager's office, Stanley was once again stunned to discover not an indication of any human life. But Stanley guessed the correct code by sheer luck. Was it that the bucket knew all along? Was the bucket guiding him? Yes, this is certainly the most logical explanation.
Alright, down we go. The Stanley Parable.
The elevator raced downward, plummeting towards an unknown fate. It would be all Stanley could do to keep himself together, if not for the bucket. Soothing him, comforting him, reassuring that in this darkest moment of uncertainty, he would be all right. The bucket is here for you, Stanley. Everything will be fine. Wait,
Uh-oh.
Stanley said to the bucket. Can we go back up? When I was pressing those keypad buttons, there was something very intriguing about the number 3. I want to go back so I can
I
try
didn't know you
pressing
could
the
do
number
that.
3 again. The bucket said nothing.
I don't think this is right. What? I just left the map. Oh, I have to press 3 for it to work. Alright.
Here we are, said Stanley. Now I'm going to try out that number 3 button. He took the bucket over to the keypad and began absolutely slamming on the number 3 over and over and over. Perhaps the bucket had missed something. Perhaps it had not seen how much joy Stanley got from slamming the number 3 repeatedly.
So yeah, I just like fell out of the map. That's something that happened. And I guess there's not like a death plane or anything there.
A hint of regret nagged in the back of Stanley's mind. Should he demonstrate the number? No, said Stanley to the bucket. You can't go on yet. Not till you understand how much the number 3 means to me. You and I have been through so much together, and I just want you to see what I see. Feel the happiness I feel. He smiled at the bucket, and the bucket said nothing.
Oh, bucket. You must understand how happy I am when I press the number 3.
Here we go, said Stanley. This time I'll really show you. He ran to the number 3 and began to wail on it like a musician on a beloved instrument, weaving a concerto of truth and passion. He wielded the number 3 like a fine artist would wield a paintbrush. He told stories through the number 3, stories of his dreams and hopes and fears. And the whole time, he looked to his bucket for a reaction of some kind. Anything to let him know that the bucket appreciated what he was doing. The bucket conveyed absolutely nothing at all, only silence. Crushed by a wave of dejection, Stanley returned to the elevator. Stanley and the bucket were so close, they'd always been there for one another. Why suddenly could the bucket not connect with this passion of Stanley's? The question caused Stanley to ruminate the whole way down the elevator. He knew that there must be a way to get through to the bucket, to communicate fully with his dear friend. Surely there was a solution, mustn't there be?
We must get this ending before I get off.
Said Stanley. I know what to do. I know how to fully express this feeling in my heart. He decided right then and there that he would hold a press conference where he would speak to the public on all matters relating to pressing the number 3 over and over. He would
All of
elaborate
them?
fully
That's
on
a
what the
lot.
number 3 meant to him and why he felt so alive when pressing it. Then the bucket would be able to see his joy through the eyes of others. It would get to see the world react to this discovery of Stanley's. And it would be through the public eye that the bucket would finally understand Stanley's work.
Yes.
For months, he advertised and marketed his press conference, building excitement around it, developing and rehearsing it, until it couldn't be
Months.
refined a single measure further. When the big day arrived, Stanley was as prepared as he'd ever been for anything in his life.
World peace, baby. Is that the Minecraft door opening sound effect? That didn't seem right. The man, the process, the myth, the legend, the parable. Stanley was for sentient machine. Hey, this is the
This was it. One last chance to win the bucket over. One opportunity to share a true connection with a loved one.
Congratulations, Stanley. Remember where you came from. Your co-workers. They're still here? 3 again. 3 again. Alright. The dude who came up with pizza. Really? Wow. The Lord.
There was no one here.
What?
Nobody had come to the press conference to hear Stanley speak, to listen to him talk about what it really means to press the number 3 on a keypad over and over. He was unloved, uninteresting, he was a failure. And in that moment, Stanley knew the bucket would never again take him seriously. There would be no connection, no deeper understanding. The bucket merely sat there in his arms, indifferent.
No, not again.
And
This is not good. What if I turn the volume off? Well, it doesn't let me do that. I think it's gonna freeze.
slowly, over many years,
There we go.
the two of them grew more and more distant. They spoke less and less, neither wishing to state the obvious, that any sense of real respect between them, there would be no more games, no more long conversations about passion and pursuit,
No.
only a silence that consumed the space between friends. And Stanley, having for once in his life discovered the warmth and comfort of true companionship, was cast back into the unremarkable normalcy of loneliness.
No. And with that, we conclude the Stanley Parable Part 1, I guess. I mean, I probably won't do a Part 2, but if you guys want it, I guess I could. But it would have to be soon because I do plan on getting that Super Go Outside achievement. Don't play it for 10 years. Anyway. Thank you, and I think we should end this
All of
with
his
jumping off of the
coworkers were
cargo
gone.
lift.
What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo. When Stanley came to a set of two open... This was not the correct way to the meeting room, and Stanley knew it perfectly well. Perhaps he wanted to stop by the employee lounge first, just to admire it. Ah, yes, truly a room worth admiring. But eager to get back to business, Stanley took the first open door on his left. Stanley was so bad at following directions, it's incredible he wasn't fired years ago. Look, Stanley, I think... But in his eagerness to prove that he's in control of the story and no one gets to tell him what to do, Stanley leapt from the platform and plunged to his death. Good job, Stanley. Everyone thinks you are very powerful.
Alright. Thank you guys for playing. And a goodbye.
There once was a man named Stanley, who people considered so manly. But the truth must be told, he was not very old, and was quite particularly gangly. What Stanley liked most was buttons. He pushed them like some kind of glutton. He did it all day in a meaningful way, but his brain had long ceased to function. Which is why he is in this parable, and lives an existence quite terrible. And if you are not strong and keep playing along, you too will become quite unbearable. Yes. You too will become quite unbearable.